Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Guren? If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Konohagakure no Sado. Naruto sighed and rubbed his temple in frustration as he tried to recall how he ended up in his current situation, which involved rooming with a person that had been his enemy just a week ago. What was her name? Guren, was it? Yeah, the SHOTON crystal release, using ninja that had been Orochimaru's subordinate, had interfered with his team's assigned mission to capture the Sanbi no Kyodaigame three-tailed giant turtle, which had been released upon the Yondaime Mizukage, Yagura's death. Apparently, Orochimaru had wanted the Sanbi to be sealed into a child that had strange powers named Yukimaru, so he could be used as a weapon. Good thing I put a stop to that. No one deserves to go through what I did. I wouldn't wish it on anyone except maybe Sasuke. And Sakura. Naruto thought in hindsight before recalling the mission debriefing that led to this problem. Flashback no Jutsu. A nervous Naruto fidgeted under the scrutinizing gaze of the Gondaime Hokage, Senju Tsunade. In the background, you could see a bored Kakashi, an equally nervous Guren and a clueless Yukimaru. So Naruto, you're telling me that you invited a Kunoichi that had until a week ago served under Orochimaru, an S-classed missing nin, into our village, just because you felt like it? Tsunade growled lowly as a tick mark appeared on her head, causing Naruto and Guren to gulp nervously as the former waved his hands in denial. No. You see, Yukimaru didn't want to come with us unless we brought Guren along, so I decided to invite her back to the village with us since she no longer had any reason to return the Oro team. And you were promoted to Jounin squad leader when exactly during your mission? And Kakashi. You were the squad leader during this mission, why did you let him go ahead with this whatever this is? She shouted in frustration, causing Kakashi to sigh as he straightened up from his laid-back position. Well, Tsunade-sama, at that current point in time, I believed what Naruto proposed to be perfectly reasonable, since these two possess unique abilities in their own rights. Guren has a unique Kekai Genkai which allows her to manipulate crystals to her will, I believe she called it Shoten. Kakashi drawled, causing Tsunade to examine Guren in slight fascination. While Yukimaru showed an ability to control the Sanbi to a certain extent, much like the ability the Shodaime had over the Biju-tailed beasts. The last statement was what caused Tsunade and Shizune to snap their heads in the direction of the aforementioned boy, who was currently examining the pictures of the previous Hokages on the wall. Could he be a descendant from the Senju clan? If so, then why hadn't his parents or grandparents brought him back to Konoha before? 1,000 thoughts ran rampant through the blonde Hokage's mind before she shook them clear to address the situation at hand first. Damn you Naruto, I swear only you can cause me this big of a headache just by completing a mission. After a few seconds of deliberating, a grin crept onto her features. Naruto swallowed nervously as this grin was usually followed by something that ended badly for him. Fine. She can stay in the village, provided she has the mandatory 1-month probation period before taking up any ninja duties. Naruto couldn't help but sigh in relief when she said that wasn't so bad, and she and the kid will be living with you. And she and the kid will be living with you. The words echoed in his head continuously before he took the easy way out by fainting. Flashback no Jutsukai. Thus leaving our spiky blonde-haired hero where he was, sitting on his couch rubbing his temple in frustration. Guren had not been bothered at this at all, since she had to room with worst people. When she started working for Orochimaru, Yukimaru had been jumping for joy when he heard that he would be staying with his father and mother figures. Yukimaru is about 10 in this story, with Guren being 22 and Naruto 17. Of course he had stated this out loud, causing the mentioned figures' faces to erupt into furious blushes. Not that I mind being with her, I mean she has a great figure and those soft ga. I've been spending too much time around Iro Sennin, I'm starting to think like him. His thoughts were interrupted by a soft tugging on his sleeve. Looking around, he spotted a happy-looking Yukimaru. Hey Naruto Nai-san. Can you bring me for a tour of the village? I really want to see where the place where Nai-san grew up in. Yukimaru said with a wide smile on his face, causing Naruto to chuckle and ruffle his hair. Of course I will, Yukimaru. Just let me change into something more comfortable first. Alright, you go and tell Guren that where we are going, okay? Hi. With that, the purple-eyed boy bounced away to his mother figure's room to inform her of their plans, leaving Naruto to go through his wardrobe for some casual wear. Shrugging in indifference, Naruto just pulled on a black t-shirt that conformed to his athletic build and a pair of dark blue jeans. To complete his outfit, he wore a burnt orange jacket over his shirt before leaving his room to find Yukimaru. What he did find, however, caused his jaw to detach and drop onto the floor, along with a massive blush to cover his face, because before him stood Guren in a forest green kimono that clung to her figure, showing her every curve. Guren was also in a similar position, with a blush on her face and even a small trail of drool escaping her lips as she laid her eyes on Naruto's solid build. Ahem, right, Yukimaru told me that you were headed out to tour the village, so I thought I might as well tag along, since I am going to be living here from now on. Guren coughed to cover up her hand, wiping away the drool from her lower lip. I hope you don't mind me coming along with you guys. Oh sure, I mean it's like killing two birds with one stone. Just give me a second while I lock up. Naruto replied as the traces of his blush faded from his face. There, all done. I guess we will start off at the main gate before moving in a clockwise direction towards the Hokage Tower. We will stop for lunch at Ichiraku's ramen stand before finishing the tour. How does that sound to you guys? It's fine with me, since this is your village, so I trust your judgment on these matters. Guren shrugged nonchalantly before a small blush appears on her face. And you look quite handsome with your hair like that. Thanks, you too. I meant that you look beautiful with your hair down, and the kimono looks great on you, as well, Naruto replied with a blush as well as he scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Yukimaru just looked at the two blushing young adults in front of him in confusion, shrugging as he didn't really care, he just settled for grabbing their hands. If you guys keep standing there then we won't be able to see the entire village by today. Yukimaru pouted cutely as he tried his best to pull the two in the direction he remembered the large wooden gates were. This action pulled the pair out of their respective dazes as they were yanked along by their hands by a determined-looking Yukimaru. Shaking his head, Naruto just grabbed both of them close to him and getting a blush from the blue-haired lady before he shunted them to the gates. The remainder of the morning was spent walking around the east side of the village, which happened to be the clan grounds. Naruto animatedly pointed out the different clans that resided in Konoha, along with their abilities. Yukimaru was in awe at seeing so many buildings and people that had abilities like his Nai-san, while Guren admired how well maintained the clan grounds were as well as chuckling as Naruto retold some of his memories of his friends from the respective clans. They were quiet as they passed the abandoned Uchiha clan grounds. Guren, having heard about what happened with Sasuke from Orochimaru and Kabuto, wisely kept quiet about it. Once they had reached the Hokage Tower, Guren was deep in her own thoughts. She barely registered Naruto was calling on her name until she saw his hand waving in front of her face. Guren-chan. Are you alright? Naruto asked, unknowingly adding the suffix to her name, which of course caused the beautiful blue-haired woman to blush slightly. Hi, what was it you were asking, Naruto-kun? She replied, also unconsciously adding the suffix to his name. Naruto just blinked at her before grinning widely, which strangely caused him to resemble a fox. Yukimaru said he was getting hungry as well as tired from walking around the entire morning, so I asked you if you wanted to go grab a bite now. I don't mind. I am quite tired myself and could do with something to fill my belly since I haven't eaten since last evening. As if to confirm her statement, her stomach chose that moment to rumble out loud. This caused her to blush in embarrassment and Naruto to chuckle lightly before guiding them down to Ichiraku's for lunch. Hey Oji-san. 3 bowls of miso ramen for me, what do you two want? Naruto exclaimed as the three sat down at the ramen stand. After contemplating for a few moments, Yukimaru had decided on a chicken ramen, while Guren chose a bowl of beef ramen with a side of dango. The three of them conversed lightly while waiting for their food to arrive, mostly about what they had seen this morning and funny things that they had seen. When the food arrived, the three of them broke apart their chopsticks and muttering a quick-eyed akamasu before proceeding to eat their meal. Both Guren's and Yukimaru's eyes grew wide upon tasting the heavenly flavor that could only be associated with Ichiraku's ramen, since both had tasted the crap that was known as food in Otogakure hidden sound. This was the best thing they had tasted so far. Before Naruto was done with his first bowl, 2 resounding bangs and a synchronized shout of one more please were heard, causing Naruto's and Tuchi's eyes to grow wide at seeing someone other than Naruto inhale ramen at that pace. As Ayam came out the back to deliver the second helping of ramen, she finally noticed the woman and child that sat beside Naruto in the ramen stand. Her eyes too grew wide upon seeing the two inhale their ramen at what was dubbed the Naruto pace of ramen eating and couldn't help but whistle and comment on it. Wow Naruto, I didn't know you got married and had a kid already. They sure are similar to you in aspects to their consumption of ramen hee. Ayam giggled. Well, Yukimaru ignored this comment as he was too focused on devouring his second bowl. Naruto and Guren literally spat the broth out of their mouth with matching blushes on their faces. We're not married. The duo shouted as one, causing a sly grin to appear on Ayam's features. So you do admit he is your child then? This of course caused Tuchi to roar in laughter, Guren to pass out from images of Naruto and her doing the act. Yukimaru was already asleep and Naruto to groan in annoyance as he now had to carry them back. Upon reaching his doorstep, Naruto created a Kage Bushin to open the door to his apartment as well as his bedroom. His other clone had already placed Yukimaru in his own room, while the original placed Guren gently onto his bed. Damn, today wore me out more than I thought. I'm yawned, starting to feel a little sleepy. Naruto had slumped down asleep onto his bed beside Guren before he could even finish his sentence. Unknowingly, the two seemed to let out a small smile as they unconsciously moved closer to each other in their sleep. Previously on Home is Where You Are. Upon reaching his doorstep, Naruto created a Kage Bushin to open the door to his apartment as well as his bedroom. His other clone had already placed Yukimaru in his own room, while the original placed Guren gently onto his bed. Damn, today wore me out more than I thought. I'm yawned, starting to feel a little sleepy. Naruto had slumped down asleep onto his bed beside Guren before he could even finish his sentence. Unknowingly, the two seemed to let out a small smile as they unconsciously moved closer to each other in their sleep. Naruto's Mindscape. Drip. 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 Damn, what the hell happened? Naruto groaned as he rubbed his sore head. After regaining his focus, Naruto finally recognized his surroundings and let out a frustrated sigh of annoyance. Seeing as he had no other choice but to confront his tenant, he shrugged it off and began his trek to the cage where the Kyuubi was trapped. Kyuubi, Naruto sighed as he ran a hand through his sunny blonde hair. I thought we had an agreement. In exchange for letting you use my senses, you would not control me and lend me your power when it was needed. Nice to see you too, kid. The giant fox deadpanned. I do remember our deal, including the part where you don't have to remind me about that. Naruto snapped pointedly at Kyuubi. So what is it you want since you so kindly dragged me here without my consent? Sheesh, kid, what crawled up your ass and died? Kyuubi chuckled but turned serious as he noticed Naruto's glare on him. Fine, fine. I was just wondering if you had given any thought about that offer I made last week. Why are you so anxious about that? You only offered it up last week, and what you offered is not the sort of decision that can be made on a whim. While some of the points you made were valid, I'm still not so sure about it. Give me a little more time. And with that parting sentence, Naruto faded from his mindscape. Sure, kid, take all the time you need. I have nothing but time. Kyuubi chuckled once more before fading back into his cage. Back in the real world, 2 minutes prior to Naruto waking up. Guren yawned as she regained consciousness but kept her eyes closed as the evening sun shined through the blinds of the window. Momentarily wondering where she was, Guren just dismissed that train of thought as she was perfectly comfortable snuggling against her pillow. A minute passed before Guren realized something was amiss, the foremost being that this was not a bed, since her bed was not this soft. The next thought was the most interesting to her. Since when was a pillow warm? And since when did a pillow move with the rise and fall of a human's chest, and most important of all, when did a pillow have a heartbeat? As she pondered these thoughts, the pillow she was hugging decided to wake up as well. Hearing a soft intake of breath, Guren cautiously opened her eyes to stare into a familiar pair of blue cerulean eyes. Next thing Naruto knew, he was lying face first on the wooden flooring of his bedroom, with a slightly angry and completely embarrassed Guren standing in front of him with a crystal knife at his manhood. Note to self, never ever piss off Guren-chan without a good reason. Naruto thought as he picked himself up from the floor slowly and carefully, as Tsunade startled a beautiful lady with a sharp object pointed at his goods. Naruto. Why were we in the same bed? Don't tell me we, oh my god. Guren shouted as she imagined what had happened that would require the both of them to be in the same bed and totally getting it wrong. What? No. We didn't do anything of that sort. He spluttered out with a blush due to what Guren had said before he was interrupted by a familiar voice in his head. Not that you didn't want to. Damn it, QB, shut the hell up. You see, you and Yukimaru were unconscious at the raiment stand, so I had to carry the both of you back to the apartment with the help of shadow clones. My clone placed Yukimaru into his own room, but I was too tired to make it to your room, so I set you down on my bed. I guess I must have been more tired than I thought and had fallen asleep beside you by accident. Oh, that's okay then. Guren said as she fought down the rising blush as she recalled what exactly was said that had caused her to lose consciousness in the first place. Hey Guren-chan, Naruto began as he scratched the back of his head nervously. I was wondering, since Yukimaru would probably be asleep until tomorrow morning, would you like to go out with me for dinner? You know, since we are living together we might as well get to know each other better. Hi. I would love to join you for dinner, Naruto-kun, it does make sense to learn more about each other. Guren replied with a hint of a blush on her face. I wonder if this would count as a date. Awesome. I mean, I guess I will see you around 7:30 then. Sure. Oh right. And be sure to wear something nice, Jana. Naruto said before disappearing in a shunshin to train, leaving a confused Guren to ponder what he had said. I wonder what he meant by wear something nice. Ah, whatever, guess I have some shopping to do then. At least working on all those assassination jobs for Oro team actually gave me some decent spending cash. 7:30 came sooner than expected, and Naruto found himself wearing a black button-up shirt with a white blazer and a pair of white dress pants. His blonde hair hung over his forehead as he had chosen to leave his headband at his bedside table for the evening. He rapped his knuckle on Guren's bedroom door. "Hey Guren-chan, are you ready? We have to get to the restaurant on time for the reservation I made." Almost immediately the door opened and the sight that greeted Naruto sent his eyes bulging and jaw dropping. For in the doorway stood Guren dressed in an elegant strapless blue evening gown that complemented her natural hair color. Her hair too was let down and framed her beautiful angular face. She wore little makeup, with a light red lipstick being the only thing she had applied to her face. Wow. Just wow. Guren-chan, you look absolutely drop-dead beautiful like that. Naruto exclaimed out loud before slapping his hands over his mouth the next second, thus prompting a giggle and a blush from the brunette. "You look really handsome dressed up like that too, Naru-kun." Guren replied in a teasing tone, causing Naruto's slight blush to spread across his entire face. After trying and successfully beating down his blush, Naruto offered his arm to Guren, which she graciously accepted, and walked to a restaurant in the middle of Konoha. The Golden Leaf. "It sounds like a pretty expensive place. How did you manage to get us a reservation here?" Guren asked curiously as Naruto chuckled and just lead her in. "Hello there sir, do you have a O? Naruto-sama. What are you doing here?" The man standing at the entrance gasped in surprise before noticing Guren standing beside Naruto. "Oh I see. We have your usual spot reserved as always, away from the other customers, so they won't disturb you and your date." Before either of them could protest that statement, a waiter had ushered them into a separate room with a single table and 2 chairs. Once the both of them were settled in, the waiter returned with a bottle of Kumo's finest sake, as well as 2 menus. After a few moments of deliberating between the two of them, Naruto signaled the waiter to tell him that they had decided on their orders. "I would like to order the chef's speciality for both of us, tell the chef to cook them Uzumaki style." Naruto told the waiter, who after writing down the order, decided to repeat it to make sure he got it right. "Alright sir, so 2 chef speciality, which is tenderloin steak made from imported beef from western countries to sea country, doused in our specially made gravy, served alongside our seasonal vegetables, and a scoop of mashed potato. Both steaks to be cooked Uzumaki style, am I right sir? Right down to the last detail my good man." As soon as the waiter had left, Guren turned and looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. "Okay, what gives? First thing you step in here and the guy calls you Naruto-sama, then we get our own table away from the rest of the restaurant, and finally you have a way of cooking named after you? What's going on here?" "It's quite simple really," Naruto trailed off, causing Guren to lean in slightly in anticipation. "I own the place." Silence reigned after that simple sentence, with a shocked Guren looking at a grinning Naruto like a fish out of water, her mouth opening and closing, but failing to find the words needed to describe such a ludicrous statement. You own the place." Guren shouted so loud that if not for the soundproofing seals placed in the room, the rest of the restaurant would have heard her shout. "Yup. What's so hard to believe about that?" Naruto asked as if nothing was out of place. "What's so hard to believe? What's so hard to believe? How about the fact that a 17-year-old runs a business, and not just any business, a 5-star restaurant of all things?" "Your point being?" Naruto asked again, but sighed upon seeing Guren about to tear him a new one. "I had to survive somehow as a kid, being the Jinchuriki to the QB meant nobody wanted to look after me besides old man Hokage. So in order to survive I learned that I had to make money. I simply hinged myself as a random man and gathered some homeless people that had talent in cooking and offered them a job with minimal wages. After some time, business started picking up, so I hired more people and had them renovate the restaurant. And the rest is history. Any questions?" Guren just stared stupefied at the young man in front of her, and so the conversation continued from there onwards. The topic ranged from their childhoods to their pastimes and favorite jutsu in their arsenals. Finally the food arrived and Guren couldn't help but salivate slightly at the aroma that emitted from the food on her plate. Looking at Naruto with a pleading face, Naruto gave a small chuckle as he gave her the go-ahead to start eating. One bite was enough for Guren's eyes to grow wide and start eating her piece of steak with barely restrained gusto, while Naruto ate at a more sedate pace while admiring the beautiful young woman. After they had finished their respective meals, the duo left the restaurant unawares that they were being followed by 3 people. Guren was slightly sleepy after the wonderful meal, so she used Naruto's shoulder as a resting place for her head, not that either of them were complaining mind you. But the first 2 people. "See pig, I told you that I had seen Naruto and that Kunoichi from the mission enter that fancy-looking restaurant." A certain pink-haired, barely qualified Kunoichi whispered to the blonde Kunoichi beside her. I guess you were right for once, forehead girl. I wonder what they are doing together, and at an expensive restaurant for that matter. Could they be on a date?" Ino replied, causing Sakura to roll her eyes. "Ha. As if that blonde baka could get someone else to go out with him, he's too busy hounding me for dates." You just keep thinking that to yourself, forehead girlino said with a roll of her own eyes, but her thoughts were on another matter. Since when did Naruto-kun get so handsome? I wonder if he would agree to a date with me. Third person cough stalker cough. Who does that hussy think she is? Just coming into our village thinking that she can have my Naruto-kun all to herself when obviously I have been in love with him longer than her. Were the thoughts of a certain deluded lavender-eyed Hyuga. Poor mentally disturbed stalker snickers. You may have his attention for now, you bitch, but eventually my Naruto-kun will leave you to be with his true love, me. Muahahaha cough cough. Have to remain calm and relaxed, Hinata thought as she breathed in and out deeply as she continued observing the two from behind a lamppost. Seriously, how does Naruto not spot her? Back with our favorite blonde ninja. Apparently Guren had somewhere along the way fallen asleep, thus prompting Naruto to carry her in his arms bridal style, resulting in Guren snuggling deeper into his chest for warmth. And so with a small blush and smile, Naruto resumed his walk back to their apartment, unaware of the three killing intents, Kai, being aimed at the sleeping woman in his arms. Once he made it back to their apartment, Naruto gently shook Guren awake before letting her down gently onto her own 2 feet at the main door before unlocking it. I haven't had this much fun before, thank you Naruto-kun for everything. With that she gave him a small peck on the cheek before retreating into her room so her atomic blush wouldn't be spotted. Naruto just stood there with a similar blush on his face, along with a goofy grin, as he raised his hand slowly and brushed the spot where Guren's lips had been. But the more pronounced spring in his step and a happy demeanor, our favorite blonde-haired Jinchuriki ran through his nightly routine before retiring to his bed for a good night's sleep. Previously on Home is Where You Are. I haven't had this much fun before, thank you Naruto-kun for everything. With that she gave him a small peck on the cheek before retreating into her room so her atomic blush wouldn't be spotted. Naruto just stood there with a similar blush on his face, along with a goofy grin, as he raised his hand slowly and brushed the spot where Guren's lips had been. But the more pronounced spring in his step and a happy demeanor, our favorite blonde-haired Jinchuriki ran through his nightly routine before retiring to his bed for a good night's sleep. It has been a month since that fateful day, and the relationship between Naruto, Guren and Yukimaru has improved greatly. Ever since that day, both Naruto and Guren had started going out on more of what they call information dates. After a month of that, they now knew each other almost as well as they knew themselves. And since Guren was village-bound, Naruto decided to stay with her as well as Yukimaru. The three of them were a common sight among the villagers, who no longer held any resentment towards the blonde or the former Oda Kunoichi. Guren groaned as the rays of the early morning sun began to poke in through the blinds of the windows in her room, rolling over once more before finally giving up and rubbed the sleep from her eyes. Letting out a long sigh, she got up and headed for the bathroom to wash up and change out of her sleeping attire. Upon entering the bathroom, Guren locked the door behind her as she splashed water across her face to get rid of the remaining drowsiness on her features. Guren exited the bathroom wearing a dark blue tank top and a pair of black Kunoichi shorts. She walked into the kitchen and spotted a familiar mop of blonde hair standing at the kitchen stove. Rubbing her eyes to make sure she wasn't hallucinating, she looked again and saw Naruto still standing at the stove flipping pancakes as he whistled an unfamiliar tune. "Naruto, what are you doing?" Guren asked in confusion as the blonde turned around at the mention of his name. "Heyo Guren-chan. What does it look like I'm doing?" Naruto asked in a tone that clearly signified his amusement at the simple question, which caused Guren to pout and let out a huff. "Hey, don't blame me that I didn't know you knew how to cook. I just happened to pick it up as a side hobby of mine, turns out I was a pretty good cook. Too bad the only person who tasted my cooking died." Naruto sighed before noticing the look of fear on Guren's face. "Nani? What? Your cooking killed someone and you expect me to eat it? Have you gone completely insane?" she exclaimed as she poked Naruto in the chest repeatedly. Naruto just looked at her confused before understanding dawned on his face. Not soon after we see a hysterical Naruto rolling on the floor laughing his guts out. "You thought my cooking cake killed someone? Ha 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 ha." Naruto managed to get out between his laughter. "And might I inquire what is so funny about that?" Guren demanded in a tone that said, "I will neuter you if I don't like your answer," which caused Naruto to shut up immediately. "Guren-chan, I meant that the only person who had tried my cooking died by the hands of his own student, not my cooking. He was the Sandaime Hokage and one of my most precious people, that's why I let him try my cooking. Not even my team or the other rookies or even Iruka-sensei has ever tried my cooking before. If it really is that special, why are you cooking for Yukimaru and I to eat?" Guren asked pointedly, to which Naruto just looked at her with his trademark foxy grin. "It's because you guys are my most precious people as well." The simple statement caused Guren to blush as well as a foreign feeling to emanate in her stomach. What is this feeling? And why am I reacting in such a way just because he said something so simple? She thought to herself but pushed it to the back of her mind as she let out one of her few genuine smiles that only seemed to come out around Naruto or Yukimaru. Arigato Naruto, you are one of my precious people too. Naruto just rubbed his head sheepishly in response as he started to pile the pancakes onto 3 separate plates before placing them on the table along with a pitcher of maple syrup. Yukimaru. Breakfast is ready. Humming Nai-san. Came the reply as the 10-year-old came bouncing up to the dining table. Alright everybody, go ahead and dig in. Naruto announced cheerfully. Yukimaru and Guren both cut off a piece of their pancake and placed it in their mouth. Yukimaru's reaction was just to start shoveling the rest into his mouth as fast as possible, while Guren just looked at him stupefied. You certainly weren't exaggerating when you claimed that your cooking was fantastic, even with a simple dish such as this, you made it taste out of this world. Guren said with a smile as she resumed eating her breakfast. Naruto just chuckled as he poured the maple syrup onto his stack of pancakes and passed it to Yukimaru. Just as the trio had finished with their meal, a knock at their door drew their combined attention. Blinking in confusion as he had not been expecting any visitors on that day, Naruto opened the door cautiously and was met with the sight of an Anbu wearing a bird mask. Uzumaki-san, Hokage-sama has requested the immediate presence of both you and the former Odo Kunoichi in her office right now. The Anbu stated in their normal monotone voice. Hi Anbu-san, let her know that we will be there in 5 minutes or so. Naruto told the Anbu, who only gave a curt nod in response before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Well, who was it? Guren asked curiously. Anbu. Come on Guren-chan, we are wanted in Bachan's office right now. Naruto replied as he ruffled Yukimaru's hair. You stay out of trouble now, you understand me? Hi Nai-san. But boy. And Naruto grabbed Guren before using Shunshin to appear in the Hokage's office. Heyo Bachan. You wanted to see us. Naruto greeted before narrowly avoiding a chakra-enhanced fist that would have sent him flying out the front door. What did I tell you about calling me that? Tsunade shouted with a tick mark on her head, only to see Naruto reading a book from her shelf, using with one eye closed and a hand over his mouth. Naruto. Did you say something? Naruto said in a typical Kakashi-like drawl, which caused Guren to put a hand over her mouth to stifle a giggle and Tsunade's face to go red from anger. Note to self. Have Kakashi's paid docked and Ichiraku burnt in front of him for rubbing off on his students. Tsunade thought as she tried to calm down. But Kakashi. Kakashi paused suddenly and paled as he was walking alongside Guy, who was going on about the flames of youth and how Kakashi seemed to lack them. Finally noticing his rival's demeanor, Guy waved a hand in front of Kakashi's face to gain his attention. What's wrong my hip young rival? You seem like you have seen a ghost, have your flames of youth died even more? Guy asked in his usual way. Kakashi just shivered as he held his Ichiraku carefully against his body. I sense a disturbance in the force. Back with Naruto. Naruto, as you know, 1 month has passed already. Therefore the probationary period for Guren has been paid and if she so wished, she may enlist as a Konoha shinobi. Tsunade said after calming down. Naruto just looked at Guren as if to say it's up to you if you want to do it or not, causing Guren to think about it for a total of 5 seconds before replying. Sure. Alright Guren, just fill in your particulars here and I will have you ranked as a jounin in our forces. Tsunade told her as she handed Guren a piece of paper while ignoring Naruto's look of outrage. Wait a freaking minute. Why does she get to be a jounin when I still have to be a genin? Naruto exclaimed almost immediately. 1. Because she was a jounin while in Odo's forces and 2nd, you haven't completed the chunin exams yet. So as a result, you are still a genin. Tsunade calmly stated with a hint of a grin on her face. Guren just sweat dropped as she heard Naruto mumbling about evil old ladies who didn't recognize talent, even if it bit her in the ass. Looking over the form once and nodding her head in approval, Tsunade took out a stamp and stamped the paper. Welcome to Konoha's forces Guren. And as for your first mission, I already have it here with me. What? She gets a mission as well? Naruto shouted. Settle down Gaki. Brat, Tsunade bellowed. You are assigned on this mission as well, it's a rather simple B-rank mission just for the 2 of you. A nearby town has complained about mysterious disappearances in their vicinity and that strange noises could be heard at night coming from deep within the forests. They want you to investigate the source and eliminate it if possible. Sounds like a piece of cake. Naruto said with his usual confidence as he grabbed the scroll and leapt out the window. Guren just sighed and took off after him. Tsunade just chuckled as she recalled someone else who had that kind of confidence. Kushina, I swear he acts just like you. In heaven. Kami, Yami and Kushina were currently watching from a special viewing pond in Kami's backyard. Oh yeah, that's my Naruto Tebane. Kushina whooped out loud after hearing what Tsunade had said. I wonder if Guren will finally admit her feelings towards Naruto during this mission. Yami pondered out loud. No way am I going to allow it. She's not good enough for my Naru-kun. Kushina practically shouted at them. Then who is good enough? The lavender-eyed one that admires him. Kami asked, causing Kushina to go wide-eyed. Hell no. Ttebane. I won't allow my Naru-kun to go out with that stalker. Not in 1,000,000 lifetimes. Fine, then I'll bite. Who would be good enough in your opinion? Kami asked once more as Kushina appeared to think about it. She has to be confident, a great cook, strong ninja and have red hair. She listed off. You know you just described yourself right. Yami deadpanned, which resulted in Kushina grinning widely. Exactly. I'm the only one able to satisfy my Naru-kun. You do know that he is your son, right? Kami's sweat dropped as Kushina's grin turned into a seductive smirk. That's what makes it so hot. Forbidden relationships are freaking awesome. Ttebane. I'm beginning to like her. Yami grinned. Back with Naruto. Guren arrived back at the house to see Naruto looking through a backpack before pulling out a scroll and tossing it at her. She caught it with her right hand and examined it. It was basically just a storage scroll with the words B rank written on it. Okay, I give up. What's this exactly supposed to be? Naruto just waved a similar scroll in his hand at her. This is a storage scroll containing the items and rations that will be needed for a typical B rank mission. You actually organize your supplies into scrolls beforehand. I have to say that I'm impressed. Guren complimented as she walked into her room to change into her new combat attire. Should I use my black and orange jumpsuit? Nah. Time for the new and improved Naruto to make his entrance. Naruto thought as he too retreated into his bedroom to change. About 5 minutes later, the two of them met up in the living room and took the time to examine, read Ogle, their partner. Guren was wearing a dark blue battle kimono over a wire mesh shirt, along with a pair of form-fitting black pants that she had taped to her ankles. Her blue hair was once again tied up into a pineapple that reminded Naruto of his friend Shikamaru. She had on a pair of black fingerless gloves as well. Naruto was wearing a skin-tight black sleeveless shirt and a pair of black Anbu-styled pants that were taped at his ankles too. Over his shirt, he had the standard dull gray breastplate that all Anbu operatives seemed to wear. He had wound medical tape around his arms, from his shoulder all the way to his wrist. He had the standard issue Anbu forearm guards and had a pair of black fingerless gloves as well. Attached to his back via strap was what looked like a standard issue katana from a weapon shop, but if you knew Naruto like Guren did, then you would know that nothing he owned was ordinary. Naruto had called Yukimaru out to tell him about their mission, and after realizing they couldn't leave him at home by himself, they decided to leave him with someone they trusted. Yukimaru, I and Guren are going to be on a mission for the next week or so. We can't leave you at home by yourself, so we decided to leave you with someone I trust inexplicably. Is that alright with you? Naruto inquired softly. I guess it is okay. Just promise me you and Nichan will come back safely. Yukimaru replied with a determined face. Hi, we promise to return safely. Naruto said as he grabbed Yukimaru and Guren by their shoulders and used Shunshin to appear in front of an unknown wooden door. Knock. 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 The door opened to reveal a surprised-looking Iruka who immediately looked at Guren and Yukimaru, then at Naruto before blurting out. Why didn't you tell me you got married and had a kid? Causing Guren and Naruto to blush and groan, while Yukimaru just looked at Iruka curiously from behind Naruto's leg. No. We are not married and this is not our kid. Naruto replied pointedly, which caused Guren to experience a slight pain in her heart, which she ignored for the moment. Oh sorry about that Naruto and Miss. Guren-san. So what did you need me for, Naruto? Iruka asked with his usual smile. After 10 minutes or so to explain their current situation to him, Iruka finally understood what they were asking and accepted. Go ahead Yukimaru, if you need anything just tell Iruka-sensei, alright. Naruto told him as he ruffled his hair before standing back up while Guren kissed his forehead. Don't give Iruka-san any trouble, okay? Hi Nai-san, Ni-chan. Yukimaru replied with a small smile as he followed Iruka back into his apartment. I guess we should head out now while the sun is still up. With that said, the two ninjas vanished in a swirl of leaves. What really happened during the Naruto Pain Hinata scene? After Pain had stabbed Hinata with his chakra rod, he felt a strong blast of killing intent coming from the downed blonde sage on the ground. Pain noticed that his eyes had turned from their original cerulean blue to the menacing red of the Kyuubix, and for the first time in his life, Pain felt real fear. Nonetheless, he walked towards Naruto without breaking eye contact. How does it feel, Naruto? Tell me how much pain you are in after witnessing the death of a girl that had loved you almost all her life. Show me that you understand pain. He demanded, but was unprepared for a blast of red Yaki to blast him away. Naruto now had the three-tailed cloak surrounding him. Mwahaha. Naruto's dark laughter echoed through the destruction that was once Konoha. Pain, you say? Why would I feel pain from the death of that pathetic girl? Pain was shocked at those words. Why wouldn't you feel pain at the death of someone you loved? If you didn't feel pain, why would you feel so angry as to tap into the Kyuubix Yaki? Love? You think I loved her? Hahaha. That's really priceless pain. Naruto chuckled darkly as an insane gleam entered his eyes. And as to why I'm angry? It's because you killed her. How dare you take away the pleasure I would feel as I kill her myself. To look into her eyes as she saw the one she loved rip her apart. You're angry at that kind of reason. Pain couldn't believe what he was hearing. You are insane. Insane? Well, maybe you would be insane too if you lived your life with Miss Stalkselet hovering behind you like a second shadow. Do you know how hard is it to bathe wondering if someone is watching you? Do you? Naruto roared in anger as the fourth, fifth and finally sixth tail emerged from his spine and a bone-like armor formed along his body. You're a menace to my plan for peace and I will have to. Silence. I kill you. And that's what really caused Naruto to go berserk during the battle against Pain Nagato. The sun was setting on the horizon as we see two figures standing on the topmost branches of a tree as they gazed upon the quaint little village in the middle of a dense forest. The blonde-haired figure turned towards the blue-haired one before inquiring. What's the name of this village anyway? Causing the blue-haired figure to sigh. You really should read the mission scroll before rushing off next time, it could get you killed Naruto-kun. And to answer your question, the village is called Hiryu Village. Oh, I know I should, but rushing in makes things more interesting, wouldn't you, Guren-chan? Naruto asked. If you call being ambushed by foreign ninjas, killed by wild beasts or captured by our enemies interesting, then yes, it is definitely interesting. Guren deadpanned as a reply. Well, I guess we have observed for long enough, time to make our appearance. Naruto said as he and Guren vanished from their spot, leaving behind a swirl of leaves. In Hiryu Village. Naruto and Guren had spent the better half of the evening looking for the mayor's office. While searching, they had noticed the fearful looks the villagers had when they walked around the village. Sheesh, talk about being scared of your own shadow, Naruto whispered as he saw several villagers eyeing every nook and cranny with suspicion. Well, they did have several unexplained disappearances recently, so they are probably being cautious for their own good. Guren tried explaining the villagers' behavior. Shrugging his shoulders in response, Naruto just led the way until they found a rather ornate-looking building. That should be the mayor's office. Naruto entered the building first to make sure it was the correct one, before spotting a busy-looking young lady arranging papers on her desk, so he strolled up to her desk and coughed to get her attention. "And you see that I'm Bus. Oh, hello. What can I do for you, handsome?" The lady's tone changed the moment she looked up into Naruto's face. Guren bit back a growl that had almost forced its way out of her mouth. Why the hell am I suddenly so angry when she spoke to Naruto-kun like that? And why do I feel the urge to use my crystals to maim her pretty little face? Guren was so lost in her thoughts she almost missed Naruto's next sentence. Well, miss, see, me and my partner here are ninjas from Konoha that have accepted your mayor's request to investigate the recent disappearances in this area. So I was wondering if you could point us in the direction of his office. Sure thing, handsome, just go straight down this hallway and take 2 left turns, and his office is the one with the big wooden doors. Don't hesitate to ask me for anything else, and I meant anything. The lady nearly purred out the last word with a flirtatious smile on her face, causing Naruto to gulp as he quickly pulled Guren, who was death-glaring the secretary, with him down the hallway. With a quick rap on the large wooden doors and after a muffled enter could be heard, Naruto and Guren entered the office where they saw a man who was about in his 50s sitting at a large mahogany desk. As mayor of this town, I welcome you to my humble village. You may call me Takeshi. So what brings you 2 younglings to my village? Takeshi asked in a polite tone. Guren stepped forward since she was designated leader of this mission. Takeshi-san, we are the ninjas from Konoha that you had requested to begin an investigation regarding the mysterious disappearances happening in the area around your village recently. Ah, Ninja-sans. Thank you so much for responding to my letter so swiftly. I'm already at my wit's end, trying to keep the villagers calm. As I'm sure you would have seen on your way here through the village, many of them are paranoid that they would be the next one to disappear. Takeshi sighed as he ran a hand through his well-combed gray hair. Well, Takeshi-san. Naruto said as he stepped forward as well. We are here to help as much as possible and maybe to eliminate who or whatever is doing this. It would be much appreciated if you had any leads or suspicions as to what might be happening. I might have something regarding the situation, but you might not believe it. Tell you what. Come back to my office tomorrow morning and I will have something for you. Now, do you guys require accommodations for the night? Takeshi asked. If it wouldn't be too much trouble, then we would appreciate it. Guren replied. Nonsense. I would be glad to offer you a room for your services. Just go down to the Kuretsuki, Black Moon Inn, and give them this letter. Takeshi said as he handed her a piece of paper he had just a moment ago started scribbling on. We will take our leave now and see you tomorrow morning then, Takeshi-san. Naruto and Guren bowed before exiting the office and closing the doors behind them on their way out. The inn wasn't that hard to find as it was right smack in the middle of the village. Guren walked up to the counter with Naruto by her side. "Excuse me sir, but the mayor asked us to pass you this letter," Guren stated with a polite tone as she handed over the piece of paper which the man at the counter read before his eyes widened slightly. "It seems you guys are pretty important for the mayor to call in a favor and let you two use the best room in our inn, here you go." The man passed them a key. "Top floor, furthest door to your right." Naruto nodded his understanding as they made their way up the stairs. I don't think the Narutoverse has lifts yet, do they? And to the door that was at the furthest corner to their right. However, their jaws dropped when they saw how luxurious the room actually was. The living room itself was already larger than Naruto's entire apartment. Further investigation showed that there was a jacuzzi in the bathroom, an onsen on the balcony and a bedroom. Damn, the old man really went out of his way to make sure we were comfortable. Man, I wish every place would be as happy to see ninjas as this village," Naruto exclaimed as he walked around the room. Naruto. We might have a problem here." Guren's voice drifted out of the bedroom. Naruto walked into the bedroom to see Guren gesturing at the bed. The room only has one bed. Naruto felt his face heat up as he processed this information before his kind nature kicked in. "You can have the bed then Guren-chan, I'll just use the sofa in the living room." "But that isn't fair Naruto-kun." Guren trailed off as Naruto looked at her curiously. "There isn't anything we can do about it." "Well, we could always share the bed since it's big enough," Guren whispered as she felt the familiar feeling creep its way back into her stomach and a blush take over her face. Not that Naruto wasn't blushing as well. "Hey, are you sure Guren-chan? I mean it really isn't any trouble for me to use the sofa?" Naruto asked to make sure she meant it. "Hi Naruto-kun, I won't allow you to use the sofa while I get to sleep in the bed," Guren replied with an all too familiar determination burning in her eyes. "Fine, you win Guren-chan, I'll sleep on the left half of the bed while you take the right half. Is that okay with you?" "Yup," Guren said with the usual chirp that came with the knowledge that she had won an argument with Naruto. And so the duo crawled onto their respective sides of the bed before Naruto pulled the blanket over them. "Night Guren-chan." "Night Naruto-kun." Next morning. Naruto awoke to an awesome feeling of something soft in his face. Deciding that he liked the feeling, he attempted to burrow his face deeper into the softness. This resulted in a low moan escaping the mouth of the person whose breasts that Naruto was trying to burrow his face in. Hearing the moan caused Naruto to stiffen up. "Not like that, you perverts." Opening his eyes carefully, Naruto was met with the blushing face of Guren. Guren was having a great dream where Naruto was giving her a full body massage when she was awoken by the feeling of someone pushing into her breasts. She opened her eyes to see Naruto pressing his face deeper into her bosom, which caused a moan to escape from her mouth. "Damn it, I should be pounding his face in for being a pervert, not moaning, but it feels so good." "No. Bad Guren, he's 5 years younger than you. I bet he won't even consider me in that manner." "Shit, I didn't know I was snuggling into Guren-chan. I can only hope that I won't lose the thing that makes me a man, but it felt so good." "No. Bad Naruto, she's 5 years older than you. I bet she won't even consider me in that manner." To Naruto's surprise, Guren had just coughed awkwardly and politely asked him to let go of her so she could go freshen up before they had to meet the mayor. After they each had changed into their combat attire and grabbed a bite to eat from the inn's canteen, they made their way to the mayor's office. Much to Guren's, and to a lesser extent Naruto's, relief, the secretary from before wasn't in today, and instead an older lady had given them a kind smile and told them the mayor was expecting them. "Heyo ninja-sans. Did you enjoy the room I requested for you?" Takeshi greeted with a smile, causing the two mentioned ninjas to blush as they remembered the incident when they awoke. "It was really kind of you to let us stay in such an excellent room Takeshi-san, and we really enjoyed our night there," Naruto replied hesitantly. Takeshi just grinned as he misunderstood the blonde's hesitation as something else. "Ah, young love," he thought as he pulled out a rather ancient-looking black-colored book from a drawer in his desk. After flipping through a few pages, the mayor paused as he found the page he was looking for and placed the open book in front of the two ninjas. Legend of the Naruto-Karuga. Naruto read aloud the title of that particular chapter. The hell is a Naruto-Karuga? That my boy is a mystery ever since this village had been founded. Many villagers have claimed that when they walk the forest at night, they had seen a pair of nightmarish red eyes observing them. The Narga, a shorter name for it, has many nicknames as well. The two most prominent titles would be the Living Shadow or the Black Beast, but most just refer to it as the Red-Eye Black Beast. Takeshi replied with a sigh. "So you believe that this Narga has something to do with the villagers' disappearances? What makes you think that this creature would be responsible?" Guren asked with a tone that clearly stated disbelief. "In the report I had sent, I stated that there were strange noises coming from the forests at night. What I didn't say was that the noises were similar to the roar of a Narga," Takeshi said as he looked nervously at the depiction of a Narga in the book. It stood on 4 legs with a body that was covered in coarse black fur. Its front legs appeared to have some kind of bladed wings, while its tail that was held above its head in a menacing pose was covered with spikes. The most terrifying aspect would be the Narga's eyes as they seemed to glow with a menacing red. Since you believe this creature to be the culprit, then we will do our best to try and track it down and eliminate it. I believe there won't be a problem if we borrow this book from you. Naruto asked as he held up the black book. Takeshi just shook his head. Go ahead, ninja-san. Just try not to become its next meal, nah. Naruto whistled as he read out another part of the passage concerning the Narga. When the Narga goes into a rage, its eyes will glow bright red and leave a trail of reddish lines as it jumps around its prey. Also, its tail erects large spikes which can be flung and linked up with its attacks for devastating hits. Their vertebrae and tail muscles are extremely flexible, making the tail of Narga also prehensile. Its tail is also its most powerful weapon. The scales at the end of the tail can also be shaken to produce rattling sounds similar to rattlesnakes. Sounds like a real handful. Does it say if there are any weaknesses? Guren asked. Naruto scanned through the passage a few more times before he found the part regarding weaknesses. They have very sensitive hearing, leaving them vulnerable to sonic attacks, but after they recover from the attack, they will immediately go into a rage mode. Highly susceptible to Kaiten, fire release, and Raiten, lightning release, ninjutsu. I can only use Shoten, crystal release, ninjutsus. How about you? Guren turned to look at Naruto to find him deep in thought. Flashback no jutsu. The 10-year-old Naruto was once again running away from a huge ass mob, comprised of both villagers and ninjas, that had lost family and/or friends during the Kyuubi's rampage. Skidding around a corner, Naruto panicked when he saw that the alley ended in a dead end. He backed up fearfully into the darkest corner as the mob gradually advanced towards him. In a last-ditch effort to prevent the pain, Naruto concentrated like Kyuubi-sensei had taught him. Kyuubi-sensei said that I have a high affinity for wind, which means I can use wind techniques easily, and with enough training, I would be able to use the wind around me as a weapon. Okay, do like sensei said, concentrate and collect the air around me into a dense bubble before saturating it with chakra. The mob was almost upon him when the ninja noticed the fluctuation caused by chakra usage. Watch out. The demon brat is attempting to do something. Hold it to optimal density and release it all at once. See you in hell, douchebags. Naruto thought as he released the compressed bubble of wind chakra enhanced air around him while shouting the technique's name. Gyuten. Jekatai Suru. Wind release. Repulse. The wave of compressed air slammed into the mob and hurled them into the walls of the alley, the momentum from the attack snapping necks, spines and other various bones. Naruto looked upon the dead bodies without emotion before sighing as he dusted himself off and walking away. You took over me to save me again, excuse sensei. Whatever works best for you, kid. I really don't like playing the idiot sensei, why do I have to do it again? Kid, if the higher ups see your power they may think I was influencing you and order your death. Plus isn't deception the first rule of being a shinobi? I guess you're right, Kyuubi-sensei. Of course I am, kid, now go get some rest. Flashback no jutsu kai. Naruto. Naruto snapped back to the present as he heard Guren shouting his name before rubbing his head sheepishly and replying. Sorry Guren-chan, just got lost in a memory, so what was it you wanted to ask? Guren just sighed as she voiced her question again. I asked if you had any Kaiten or Raiten techniques at your disposal, since I can only use Shoten. I have a godly affinity towards wind and a slight affinity to water. So I'm afraid I don't have any jutsus under those categories. What are we going to do then, if we do find out that this creature is real? Guren asked as Naruto once again scanned through the available information on the Narga. We aren't going to look for it, instead we are going to get it to come to us. Naruto mumbled before looking at Guren with a smirk. I knew all my pranking experience would come in handy someday. Tsunade's revenge. After the strange feeling that he had felt, Kakashi quickly bade Guy a quick goodbye before disappearing in a cloud of smoke as he ran as fast as possible to his house. Upon reaching his apartment block, his worst fear has come to pass. In front of his block stood Tsunade, behind her was a huge bonfire made up completely of Ichiraku books. Tsunade-sama, what is happening here? Kakashi asked as calmly as possible on the outside, but was a nervous twitching wreck on the inside. Nothing much, Kakashi, just my revenge on you for rubbing off on my little Naru-chan too much. Tsunade cackled evilly as she did a small Kaiten ninjutsu and set the pile of smut books on fire. This was too much for Kakashi to handle as he fell to the floor and wept, causing all the spectators to sweat drop at the seemingly insane scene. It's not that bad, Kakashi, you could always wait until Jiraiya-sama delivers the next batch of books in the following month. Asuma tried to console the broken jounin. Kakashi looked up hopefully for a total of 5 seconds before Tsunade crushed that hope with her next statement. Oh, by the way, Kakashi. I caught Jiraiya trying to peek in the hot springs earlier today and for punishment confined him to doing my paperwork for the next year. Kakashi's cry of anguish could be heard throughout the elemental nations, as many shinobis looked up from what they were doing to ponder the strange sound. And Suna, sand. Gaara looked up from his paperwork as he heard the strange cry echoing through the village until it reached his office. Mitsuri, who was helping him arrange his paperwork, looked at him with a confused expression. Gaara-kun, what was that? That sounded a lot like Kankuro did when Tamari beat him up with her fan for reading some orange book. Gaara replied in his usual monotone voice. You mean like the one in your top drawer? Nuo. Gaara said as he averted his eyes. And Kiri, missed. Bakukage-sama, what was that strange noise? Chijuro asked nervously as he fiddled with the handle of the large blade strapped to his back. That, my dear Chijuro, is the sound of a pervert getting his just desserts. Mei snickered as she signed another piece of paper. You know, back in my day, man didn't need to resort to such underhanded means to get a girl. Mei only heard the words man and get a girl from Ao's long-winded speech. Man get a girl marriage. She thought as Ao continued blabbing on about the old days. My grandfather just outright asked out my grandmother on. Ao, shut up or I'll kill you. Mei said with a sickly sweet tone and a similar smile on her face, causing Ao to shut up immediately as sweat poured down his head. What did I say? He thought. And Kumo, cloud. Raikage-sama, did you hear that odd scream? Samui asked. Her teammate standing behind her looked at the muscle-bound Kage with curiosity since he had started sweating nervously. That was the sound of a man losing something precious to him, said quietly as he resumed doing his paperwork with one hand while the other was occupied with a dumbbell. It sounds strangely like Amoy when Carrie kicked him in the nuts for not giving her a sucker, Samui mused aloud, causing A and Amoy to pale considerably while Carrie smirked in satisfaction. How do Amoy began before he paused at the gleam that appeared in his teammate's eyes. You will not finish that sentence if you don't want me to kick you where the sun don't shine. Carrie threatened with a fist. Safe to say, Amoy never dared to say his favorite phrase within Carrie's hearing range ever again. An Iowa, stone. Inoki had to suppress a shiver of that threatened to make its way up his fragile spine when he heard the ghastly scream of a man who had lost something precious. He hoped to clear it from his mind by doing more paperwork, but alas, that was not to be, as his niece, Kuritsuchi, burst into the room. Hey old man, did you hear that girly scream just now? She asked the moment she entered the room, causing the old Kage to sigh as he nodded. Yes Kuritsuchi, I did hear it. Now let me get back to my paperwork in peace. You know, that scream sounded similar to that guy whose balls I melted last week for trying to grope my ass. Kuritsuchi pondered aloud, causing Inoki to pale as he prayed to Kami that his niece would never find his hidden stash of Ichiraku. But the cloaked figure. The cloaked figure looked up with an expression of curiosity, causing the hood to fall back and revealed the face of Kabumaru. Kabuto's half of the mind questioned Orochimaru's half of the mind on the scream. Orochimaru-sama, what do you think could have happened to cause such a loud scream of pain? Fukuku. That sounded like Sasuke-kun when I first violated his ass. I missed that ass. I now regret fusing with you. No amount of power is worth this. You say that now, Kabuto-kun. Why don't you lower your pants and let me? Ah. Get those images out of my head, you sick pedophilic freak. Kabuto yelled in his mind as he bashed his head against a nearby tree to remove the unwanted images from his head. Back in Konoha. The sudden shock was too much for Kakashi to handle, so he went into a coma for the next 100 years, only to awake to a world run by crazed yaoi fangirls. The end. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.